Today on Locked On Red Wings, despite an overall good performance, the Red Wings drop their fifth straight one-goal loss.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University's ACHA D1 men's hockey. Scotty, we were just talking about it before we hit record. It's like, man, I don't really have much to say about this game, period. Like, it's more of the same at this point, it feels like.
Yeah, I said it last week too, but it kind of holds true still, is when it rains, it pours, is really just kind of how this whole stretch and the last month have really felt for this hockey team. It's just, even when they do something right, they do enough wrong to still lose. Like they just cannot put a complete full performance together. It's always something. It's like that arcade game, the whack-a-mole. It's like that. It's like
I'm aware of whack-a-mole.
Yeah, well, I forgot the name. That was more so for me. Like when you hit one and you're like, oh yeah, like I got it, and then another one just pops up. Like that's how it feels. It's like it's always something. Like you can't just win.
Yeah. I mean, like overall, the third period we'll talk about, but the first 40 minutes, the Red Wings went toe-to-toe, and I thought was even had the edge on the Colorado Avalanche in that hockey game, and they couldn't score. And I mean, let me, real quick, before I get into my first thought, because I'm starting to roll, and once I roll, there's no stopping me. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, now I can get on my roll. I mean, my first thought of this game is like, man, this team is just snake-bitten, and kind of echoing your sentiments that you just had there, like, even when this team does enough well to have deserved a win, they don't find it. And we talked about it against the Ottawa Senators, right? They lost a 2-1 game in that one. Offense couldn't score. Just offensive drought. They killed 5 penalties in that game. It was the first time all season their penalty kill looked really good. You know, a few games before that, they had 2 back-to-back 5-4 losses where the offense was clicking. They were scoring goals. Penalty kill, couldn't get it together. In this game, they only had 1 penalty. Of course, they couldn't kill it off, and we'll talk about that. That just furthers the struggles that they've had. I mean, it's a really good power play by the Colorado Avalanche, who have one of the top power plays in the league. But, like, through the first 40 minutes, the Red Wings mostly carried the play. Or at least looked even with the Colorado Avalanche, and that's a high-powered offense. And they did a fantastic job of shutting down Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar and all their top players, and were getting opportunities, but they couldn't score because, of course, even when they play well and you think they do enough to deserve a win, they run into a goalie who's having one of the worst seasons of his life and is, by metrics, the worst goalie in the league, who goes out there and balls out and has the best game of his season. Yeah. Like, that's what happened. Georgiev, I mean, that rolls me right in the difference maker. I don't even know if there is another difference maker in this hockey game besides Georgiev or Georgiev, however it's pronounced. Like, the guy's dead last in the league in goals saved above expected, has one of the worst save percentages in the league. It's like .850, and he goes out there and he allows 1 goal on 30 shots. Like, this is just Red Wings hockey right now. There's just, it's everything. It's everything and nothing all at the same time that is wrong with this team. And by nothing, I mean, like, just the game like this where they play well and things are working and the system is operating how it should, and they still can't win. It's just nothing seems to go well enough at any given moment for them to get the win, and it is frustrating. And whatever. I'm going to stop there. Scotty, go ahead.
I like how you could have kept going and you didn't. Yeah, man, I agree with almost all of the sentiments there. I think that, I mean, we talk about it a lot. Like, every time I think about this team's struggles and what they are going through, really, again, this entire season, but I mean, you can pick the last month or whatever sample size you want too, if you want. I think the what it all comes back to with me is just roster construction, man. Like that's and I agree that you got to make a change in the coaching department. I agree that this coaching staff as a whole is not getting enough out of the players that are out there. But like at the end of the day, man, you have two serviceable defensemen, and your forward core is completely hit or miss on what their strengths and weaknesses are. You have some guys that are good offensively and just black holes defensively. You have some guys that cannot score the puck but are better in the faceoff circle and defensively. There's no unison. There's no gelling of really anything. And when you talk about what this team wants to be and was supposed to be, strategically, like X's and O's wise, the player personnel doesn't match that whatsoever. And so I mean, I don't know, like, Trouba's a duck. Like I don't care. Like that wouldn't have fixed anything, man. Like when we had this conversation over the summer, I'm sure my tone was a little different and a little bit more accepting of that. But like, okay, you don't get Trouba. That's great, dude. Like, he wouldn't have fixed the
right,
like even close to have. I think you're really between a rock and a hard place here, man. I really do. You are back up against the wall. Nothing that you are trying is consistently working at a bare minimum, and it always just seems to be one of the gears just doesn't turn on a nightly basis.
I mean, do I believe about the Trouba situation? Do I believe Trouba would have made this defensive core better? Sure, yeah.
Yeah, sure, dude.
Because it's not that good.
that's right. That's because of what we have, not because of what he is.
But like, to make this team, for that trade to have worked, like it would have taken way too much surgery, and you weren't taking all $8 million at the money he was making. He was not worth it. Salary retention had to have been part of the conversation. Anaheim stepped in. I don't know what Anaheim was thinking with that trade. Like, when you have salary cap, and that's the cap hit for Trouba gave him negative value. Right. So when you have a contract like that on a player who's playing like at best second pair level, but more than likely third pair level defense, you weaponize that and say, okay, we'll take on that full $8 million because we have a ton of cap space if you give us picks in return. Trouba getting positive value back from Anaheim was insane. They got a pick and a player. I don't even care about the quality of the pick and the player. Just the fact that they got anything back and they got a scot-free clearing that cap space so they could then extend Igor Shesterkin is dirty work by the Ducks. Like, what are you doing? That, like, Pat Verbeek, brother, what are you doing? You do not give up assets to attain an $8 million pylon. Like, I know that, big heavy hitter, he's going to make your team better. He would have made our defensive core better for sure. Because, I mean, again, the bar for everyone outside of the top pair right now is not working great. But that is insane. Like, and I'm thankful that Yzerman did not try to one up that, because we would have been scathing review of that trade.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
But as far as the Red Wings game goes against the Colorado Avalanche, I don't know. Like, I don't want to reiterate my entire rant. It's just they played at the last 20 minutes of this hockey game. They did not look like a team that was pushing to win that hockey game. They had one shot on net at 5-on-5 the entire third period. They got a bunch of shots with the goalie pulled. That was their push. But for a team that was pushing strong for 40 minutes, for them to come out the final 20 down one and then just like look anemic was really disheartening to see. And I honestly don't, guys, have any real solutions for you. It's kind of what Scotty said. Like, if you fire your head coach, or fire even, you want to start with an assistant coach because the PK continues to be a huge sore point for this team. That's the thing, is you have a league average penalty kill, Scotty. You're talking about being in a playoff spot, if not being in a playoff spot. How many games have the Red Wings lost, even with this putrid 5-on-5 offense? Or like, well, goaltending's not been an issue, but how many games have they lost because the penalty kill has not been able to execute, even at a relatively league average level? So like, if you want to start there, that's fine. But like, the issues still run deeper than that too, and I'm not sure that coaching can fix some of the players' performances that we're seeing. Like, they could start winning low-scoring games, but
right, is any coach going to come in and fix the fact that you have two completely like borderline unplayable at times pairs on your blue line? Like, no.
Or two centers that you've spent close to $10 million on that haven't scored in the last 20 games.
Right, that don't produce offense, period.
Like a system might help jolt that, sure, but I don't know how much a system's going to help that. So it's one of those things like, yeah, coaching could help, and you could make an argument they'd be pushing for a playoff spot, but like, I don't know. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know. I'm frustrated right now, and I'm running out of ideas.
No, I mean it's bleak. It's bleak, man. Stuff ain't sweet. I'll say it ain't sweet right now, man. It's not great.
All that being said, like you still got to make a change at a certain point, and whether that be it's either going to happen now, before Christmas, or it's going to happen at the end of the season. Yeah, and it depends on how Yzerman views this season.
24 hours of game 82, or it's going to happen during the Christmas.
If he thinks this season is salvageable and this team can make a push for the playoffs still, which I'm not even going to say that right now because they're on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, I would like to talk to the person that does think that.
Then you fire your head coach now.
I want that kind of optimism in my life.
Then you fire your head coach now, and you bring in an interim head coach for the time being until you get your big guy in the offseason. Otherwise, if you view the season as a loss, you hold on to your lame duck coach, try to get a top 10 pick, and then make your big acquisition. Either way, I think Lalonde's toast. Like I think that's just plainly obvious.
There's a magical, Tigers-esque turnaround here. I can't imagine.
Yeah, you can't be banking on that because what the Tigers did this year is ridiculous.
The Tigers can't bank on that. Nonetheless, the Red Wings.
They're gonna try, Scotty. Anyways, we're gonna head to segment 2, and when we return, we'll talk about notable performers from this game. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings, coming up. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy, no hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. There you'll see that right now all 3-month plans are just $15 a month, including that unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number, along with all your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless services for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan, for $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Also need to tell you guys today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. And the all-in pricing toggle is a feature that allows you to see the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Just make sure you turn that toggle on to get the total up front. Get a panoramic view from your seat before you buy using Seat Views, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty, notable performance from this hockey game. Who stood out to you?
Did we do a difference maker?
I did Georgiev.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember talking about a difference maker. So I sure. I don't know. The penalty kill is gonna be mine, I guess. I don't really know, dude. Like this was.
I mean, sure. It wasn't a good penalty kill. They
went
again
0 for 1. Like,
was it Rantanen? They let just stand in front of Husso. Didn't try to fight him out of the way. Perfect screen from a car who just rifled it home. They only had one opportunity in this hockey game, but they scored on it. So yeah, you could name that as a difference maker, just more so because it is an ongoing issue, and it
Correct.
showed its head again in this hockey game. It was literally the difference in this game because that was the game-winning goal. It just came like what in the first period because Red Wings can't score, and you could list that as a notable performer too, or a difference maker is just the lack of finishing. And part of that is just because Georgiev played out of his mind, but like the lack of finishing that this team has is killing me. The goals for in the league, amongst the league, is pitiful.
I mean, Lucas Raymond, that was kind of cool.
That's a notable performer. The top line did play really well in this hockey game, which is really impressive because they are the only ones who do consistently play really, really good in these games. Them and the top pair, who we'll talk about in a second, led the team in expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5 with 64, 63, and 63%. You want your top line to be dominant, and they were dominant in this game, which is impressive considering, the offense of the Colorado Avalanche is one of the best in the league. They come in at fourth best in shot attempts at 5-on-5, and they were able to completely neutralize that and, dominate in their own category at 65%. And that bleeds into the top pairing as well. Obviously, again, great goal. Lucas Raymond Dylan Larkin picks up the puck in the corner, cycles back to the top of the point. Lucas Raymond gets to the dirty area, and it just goes off him and in. So it's Lucas Raymond's goal, but Dylan Larkin did all the heavy lifting there. Top pair continues to be dominant, or top line rather, but so did the top pair in this hockey game. I mean, Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson played 25-20 and 22-05 total themselves. 23 minutes of 5-on-5, or even strength, I should say, for Moritz Seider, and he played 15 of those minutes against Nathan MacKinnon and Cal McCarr, and yet they led the team in expected goals for percentage. It was just a dominant performance by that top pair, which is nice because they played pretty poor against the Ottawa Senators a couple nights ago. So if I have them bounce back and have a great game against a high-powered offense with a lot of elite players, that's what you want to see. And it showed because, again, they outshot the Colorado Avalanche, and the Colorado Avalanche only scored 2 goals on you. So it's a solid game by the top pair.
Just copy and paste, baby. Like the really good players on the team continue to be really good, and the depth continues to be an issue. What's crazy? Cat in this game he didn't record any points, but was a shot machine. I mean, just attack. He had, I think, 9 on net, 8 or 9 on net in attempts. I mean, I don't know. Like that's again, the top 6 continues to produce and at least get opportunities. And the depth scoring that, I don't want to say saved them last year, but was a huge reason for their success last season that they let kind of walk out the door has not been replicated, to say the least.
Yeah, Alex DeBrincat had 5 shot attempts. All 5 of them made it on net, so he had 5 shots in this game. He didn't take a single shot that missed the net in this hockey game, which is
way off from the 9 that I threw out there. But yeah, still, I mean, he
still led the team though.
Yeah. It's wild to me seeing the different, I don't know, personalities, sure, of like the different lines. Like you go out there and when top line, top pair are out there, you expect decent things to happen. And then, second line is kind of been hit or miss, and they've been trying to find a combination to get certain players to, maximize their value and whatnot. And then you get to the bottom 6 and it's just like, okay, well, I guess we're just hoping to not get scored on. Like that's pretty much what the entire bottom 6 has come to. And I don't think that's really the mark of a great hockey team.
What's crazy is you say that, and like the third line with Casper didn't have a lot of action. They actually analytically were one of the worst lines in this hockey game. But yeah, Tyler Mott had quite a few looks in this hockey game.
Shout out Tyler Mott, baby.
Not that he had a great game overall. I don't know. They didn't look bad. I don't want to harp on him. I thought that the fourth line had quite a few opportunities, and that was kind of crazy to see because that fourth line's been struggling to get anything going. But Tyler Mott had a couple of shots. I was like, oh wow. But that's kind of what leads to the frustration. Is again like through the first 40 minutes. This team was clicking. They were getting opportunities. They were out shooting the Colorado Avalanche in defensive zone. They were shutting things down against a high-powered offense. Nothing to show for it. Like, by all accounts, this was a good hockey game by the Detroit Red Wings, and they still lost by a goal, their 5th straight 1-goal loss. It's just, they can't seem to figure out anything, and it's really getting to a point where I'm just like, I don't know what the solution is anymore, guys. Like, you heard the comments in postgame, Scotty? Like, they asked Derek Long, like, are they, do you think they could be losing confidence? He goes, I don't know how they couldn't be. It's like, oh, fantastic. Like, I mean, he's right. Like,
right.
I don't know how you wouldn't, but like, you don't want to hear your coach say that.
Right.
And like, Sider's talking in the post game, like, you have to find a way to just keep coming to the ice next day with a smile on your face. Things are bleak right now. Things are bleak, and changing coaching would help, but that would be a short-term answer to a long-term issue, I guess.
It's like it would be like putting bubble gum on a leaky pipe. It's like, okay, well, it's still a hole in the pipe, but I guess you did kind of fix it temporarily. Yeah.
Like, again, you fix the penalty kill, and you're winning a lot more hockey games. Like, that's the biggest issue right now, is that penalty kill. But the 5-on-5 scoring is still a huge issue. Like, you're like, I think, dead last in the conference in goals for. It's just, I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry, guys. This is just what a 5-game losing streak will do to someone. It'll make them repeat themselves in frustration because we watch the same hockey game every night.
You know what's crazy? We're on an L5, and we're going into Buffalo, who's on an L6.
L6. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a perfect time to transition into our game preview of the Buffalo Sabres, so stay tuned. Today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets. Jeez, having one today on all-in-one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with a $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Scotty, I'm really sorry. I got to apologize. You did a fantastic job transitioning us into the Buffalo Sabres preview game, but I have one more thing that I thought about when I was butchering that FanDuel ad, and that is Ville Husso played well again, and again put this team in a position to win. I feel like it's only fair to mention that Ville Husso in his 3rd straight start has played very well, which is a good thing for the Red Wings, that goaltending continues to not be the problem. You have 3 goalies, and Ville Husso stacking his third competitive game in a row. Goaltending continues, even with the carousel, to be a strength for the Red Wings.
Yeah. I mean, we can hope so. The goaltending was a huge question mark for me going into the year, and if they can have some assets in net going forward, that would go a long way, and that would be a very, very good problem to have. So we can hope.
We can certainly hope. All right. Do we see Sebastian Cossa against the Buffalo Sabres, though?
I don't think so.
I think we might.
Oh, fun.
You've played Husso 3 straight games in a row. And yes, he has had a day off in between of each to reset. But I at a certain point, you got to wonder if you're just going to give the rookie a chance, more so just to give Husso a break. Because even when Cossa or Talbot and Lyon were healthy, like they weren't, and they were playing well, they were still alternating the two. So, I mean, at a certain point, they got to give Husso a day off. So,
yeah.
Buffalo Sabres are as good a team as any to start Cossa.
Right. After Monday, they don't play again till Thursday. So
you think they just run it back and say, okay, here's your day off?
Yeah.
It's possible. He's played well enough. That's the thing, is like, I'm not trying to say like start Cossa because Husso's been bad. Like, Husso's earned the net every other game. Like, he's played well, earns another start. Plays well, earns another start. So if he plays tomorrow, I'll be like, okay, he's been playing well, so sure, that's fine. It's just that's the fan in me is what wants Husso to start. And we talked about it the other night. I want Cossa to start just because I want to see him play. Like, you got him up here. He's in a winged wheel. Why have him sit on the bench? Just like let him play. But I understand, like, Husso's been playing well enough to continue to earn more starts because he's been putting you in opportunities to win. So I get it.
Yeah, agreed.
Buffalo Sabres, you put it, 6-game losing streak. They are suffering themselves. So, I mean, hell, it's a battle of the bottom right here.
Ooh. Yeah, man. High-end hockey on display for sure. In Buffalo, they're the pretty heavy favorites, which is really saying something considering, again, they're on a L6. This team doesn't do anything particularly well. Hilariously, Buffalo, who was the glass cannon team of a couple of years ago, has one of the worst power plays in the league. Their penalty kill is actually not bad. But their 5-on-5 defense is terrible. Their goaltending is not very good. Their offense is in the bottom half of the league. There's really no redeeming qualities. And I'm sure they're looking at the Red Wings and saying outside of the power play, probably the same thing.
Yeah, so like they generate a lot of shot attempts. They are 11th in the league in shot attempts for. They're like 22nd in shot attempts against. So that actually brings them to being the 8th best team at shot attempt share. Because they're not not the top, but they're not the bottom in either category. So that evens out to being one of the top 10 when you look at the for versus against. They're a decent team. Like on paper, they're a decent team. Analytically, they're a decent team, but they're just losing hockey games. Kind of for the similar reasons the last two teams we've been playing have been losing hockey games. They haven't been getting great goaltending. But that hasn't mattered. Linus Ullmark, who's been having a career worst year over in Ottawa, the Red Wings only scored one on. Georgiev, who's the worst goaltender in the league by the numbers, they only got one goal on. So it's like we do these previews and we try to pinpoint areas of concern for the other team that the Red Wings could capitalize on, and they just don't capitalize on it. So we just sit here and we shrug our shoulders and go,
Brian's having a crisis. He's saying, why do we even do this? Why do we even talk about hockey?
It feels like talking into, space. Like we're all these things we're saying, well, you're right, we kind of are. But like all these things are valid and these are things they can take advantage of. I just have no faith that they actually will.
Right.
Because nothing is going right for this team, even if they've playing well enough that it should.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Colorado Avalanche game, they played well enough that it should, but I'm not saying every single game they have. Obviously, like the Devils in Vancouver, when they gave up all those penalty kill or power play goals against, like that's not what I mean. It's just I'm very deflated. I don't have any real faith in anything right now. I need to see it to believe it.
I have no faith in the world because the Red Wings are bad. That's real. That's so real.
Oh, man. I just shrug my shoulders. If they win, good. But, I don't have faith they're going to take advantage of anything that the Buffalo Sabres are doing wrong to win this hockey game.
Yeah, and I think the biggest, the most demoralizing part to me is even if they do, it's okay, great, but I don't have faith that it's going to last for more than a game. And I think that's
right.
You know what I mean? They're obviously not going to lose out, but even when they do win, it's okay, well, are they going to stack that on top of other wins? Probably not. So I don't know.
I mean,
this was a super positive show. I mean, my goodness.
They've lost 5 in a row. How are we supposed to sit here and try to spin this positive? There were positive moments.
No, I'm not saying it's unjustified. Yeah,
no, I'm not yelling at you either. I'm not yelling at you.
I agree.
I want to be positive. I like being positive. I like talking about how the Red Wings are good. Last year we had a lot of fun when they went on that 6-game win streak right before the 7-game losing streak, and they were on the cusp of the playoffs. We had a blast recording last season. This season, they haven't given us anything to even the wins that they've had, they have been the worst team, and they've just been propped up by good goaltending. Or the power play has been insane. I mean, that's one thing. The power play has been great all year long, but it can't be everything. So give me something to root for, and I'll root for it.
Dang right.
Hey, we got 2 A's this game. I don't know if you noticed that. JT Compher and Moritz Seider both wore the A's. For all season long, we've been rotating just 1 A. So people are speculating that maybe we have permanent alternate captains now. We'll see. If it's Moritz Seider, I'm going to be pumped. That'd be great. But
same.
Notes. That was in the news and notes section, so I want to bring it up.
Word.
All right. Any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow, recapping a 6th straight loss to the Buffalo Sabres. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.